Hello and welcome back to another video. So with WoW Token being announced recently, I'm sure that many of you are a little bit more interested in making gold so that you can play World of Warcraft essentially for free. In this video, I'm going to give 10 ways in which you can earn gold. Now, don't worry, these are quite varied, so hopefully there'll be something in there that suits everyone. Especially the first one. If I was to give any tip here as just a wholesale thing you should do, if you're not, say, a crazy AH player with 5 million gold, just do the first tip, okay? Alright then, let's get into the video. First, I'm going to start off with a well-known method that essentially suits everyone. What you should do is go back and solo the old Cataclysm 25 heroic raids. These are all soloable and they net between 1 and 3,000 gold each. On 25 heroic, the bosses drop 125 raw gold, and then you get loads of epics, which you can then just vendor. You'll also get a few BOE transmog pieces which can sell for a bit more gold if you want to put in the effort. Doing this on just a few characters a week is a very easy way to make quite a lot of guaranteed money. Next, while we're on the topic of 25 heroics, I'm going to cover the Bastion of Twilight trash farm. Now this one is widely known, it's popular and it's very strong, but it definitely deserves its place here. All you do is you go into the Bastion of Twilight on 25 heroic, you clear the first room, you leave, you reset, and then you repeat until you hit your maximum number of hourly instances. This method will give you loads of Ember Silk cloth and a few Cataclysm greens. Disenchant the greens and then turn the cloth into Ember Silk bolts. Then craft some Ember Silk bags from that. These bags sell quite well, usually a few hundred gold each, around 300, and I'd expect that the demand will increase as of patch 6.1. With the new heirloom tab being introduced, there are probably lots of new characters rolling around that need some new bags. Also, it's best to farm on a tailor because you'll get more cloth due to the cloth scavenging passive that tailoring gives you, and also a small optimization is using the Cataclysm treasure finding potion so that you can make a little bit more money. Next, we've got the Inn and the Treasure Hunter trait. This is a new synergy that popped up as of patch 6.1. Now 6.1 introduced the new follower trait called Treasure Hunter. This trait increases gold rewards from missions by 100%, and it works really well in combination with the Inn. The level 2 Inn lets you recruit one follower with a specific trait each week, so for gold making you want to choose the Treasure Hunter trait. Then the level 3 Inn unlocks a new type of mission. These Treasure Hunter missions give you gold, so basically having loads of Treasure Hunter followers and then access to the treasure missions will give you lots of passive gold. If you've got a mission that gives you, say, 250 gold with 2 slots in it and you put 2 Treasure Hunter characters in there, then that's going to give you 750 gold for one mission. That's really powerful. Also, Harrison Jones is a follower that has a 100% chance of having the Treasure Hunter trait. All you need to do to get him is just complete the relic quests which appear in your garrison as of patch 6.1. Finally, you can actually re-roll follower traits, but it does cost 1,000 garrison resources at the garrison resource vendor. Another really cool way of farming is actually Mists of Pandaria content, and you make about 4 to 8k per hour here. Now, I learned about these two spots from one of my favourite streamers, Thagorus. He streams a lot and has been doing loads of gold making, and I really recommend that you check out his stream. So for both of these spots, you want to be on a tailoring character because of that cloth salvaging skill, which will give you more cloth drops. You also want to use a potion of luck in order to get the treasure chests. Now, the main thing that you're going to be farming is massive quantities of wind wool cloth. This will probably vary from server to server, but Thag actually makes most of his money in a very dependable way. He actually crafts the cloth into item level 458 cloaks of prowess using 4 wind wool bolts, and then he vendors them for 17 gold. So basically, 20 cloth turns into 17 gold at a vendor. Now, sometimes he does sell the cloth on the AH, and depending on the market price, you might also want to look into making bags and things like that. And then greens, rares, and epics are vendored, and the things like, say, Trillium can be thrown onto the auction house. What's nice about this is that it is actually quite simple and just gets you a big old chunk of gold. The locations are in Straves and the ruins of Gulai. The additional part of the Gulai method is that you also can get sky shards for the Alani mount, which can be sold, and also opening the Gulai caches can get you some golden items. Both of these are really good spots, though Thag does farm extremely efficiently, so it might take you a bit of practice to make as much money as he does. I'll put some links in the video description to some of his stream VODs so you can check out this stuff for yourself, and he does run a great stream, so I recommend checking it out. Another great way of making money as of patch 6.1 is Sorceress Transmutes. So, in 6.1 they added new transmutes for the Sorceress alchemy materials. Now, of course, they're not just used by alchemy, they're used by pretty much everything, but the alchemists can transmute 10 of a sorceress material of one type into 10 of a sorceress material of another type. So, if you see a large enough price difference between two kinds of sorceress materials, then just buy up the cheap one, turn it into the more expensive one, and start selling. For an example, on my server, Sorceress Fire goes for 27 gold, but Earth goes for 40. So, just turn the 10 Fire into the 10 Earth, and boom, 130 gold. All of this depends on the market, and it's a very easy way of making money. Next, another surefire way of getting gold is Savage Bloods, and while the price of Bloods has decreased since launch, they are now easier to farm via the barn than ever. You are basically guaranteed to sell these, which is quite nice, and the gold per hour that you actually spend farming is really high. You will of course need a level 3 barn, and then ideally a group of people to trap the beasts with. Trapping an animal causes nearly all nearby members to get a caged beast, so this allows groups to grind them up really quickly. Also, as of patch 6.1, the Savage Blood drop chance from the barn increases if you have a skinning follower in the building. All of this means that it's really easy to farm, and you can also use the work order rushes from the garrison resource vendor to complete your work orders at the barn really quickly. Savage Bloods are just a surefire way of making money because they're pretty much always useful. Now, another way of making money is of course Warlords of Draenor crafted epics, especially the 640 crafted armor. While it is in less demand than at the start of Warlords of Draenor, it takes very little effort to do, and you'll get a few thousand gold here and there. Just keep your work orders going for your true steel ingots, hexweave cloth, and burnished leather. It's generally best to make the high stat budget items such as like the chests, the legs, and the shoulders. Now in patch 6.1 you can actually make as many rare crafting resources as you want due to the new recipes that are sold by the trader NPCs that can appear in your garrison. These recipes allow you to convert a primal spirit and some common resources into a rare resource. You can also trade in common resources for primal spirits, so essentially you can turn a boatload of common resources into the rare resources needed to make this gear. Check your prices on the server and just crunch the numbers and figure out whether it's worth doing that, but at any rate, just doing the work orders is very efficient and definitely worth doing if your characters are just going to be sitting there doing nothing anyway. Since you need so little in the way of crafting materials, it's basically free money. Next, this is a rather massive topic, but I'm just going to go over professions. Making money via the regular professions is always a very solid option if you're happy to do the research yourself and put in the time. Currently, I find that the rare quality enchants and gems actually do sell quite well because they're commonly needed by raiders. Now, doing a full guide on all of these professions is completely out of the scope of this video, but essentially, you know what those nice gems and enchants are, so just look at the materials, look at the pricing on your server, and decide whether it's worth to craft them or not. You know, things like flasks, potions, gems, enchants, all solid ways to make money. Now be sure to unlock all of the popular recipes and then diversify your stock. So instead of just selling one type of gem, you should be selling as many as you possibly can of the different types. Using add-ons will really help you out here. Personally, I use Trade Skill Master to manage my auctions. It's quite complex and customizable, but it really is, it's just extremely powerful. Though for basic auctioning, Auctionator is a great bet and it really does improve the auctioning interface. Next, we're going to be kicking it old school and going back to Wrath of the Lich King content, and what we're going to be doing is, interestingly enough, farming up the Battered Hilt. Now, if you're not aware, the Battered Hilt is an item that gives a quest which actually ends up rewarding you with Bellular, which is a really popular transmog weapon. However, it is a 0.15% drop rate from any of the elite mobs in the Ice Crown Citadel heroic dungeons. That might seem a bit grim, but if you go into the Pit of Sauron and then just do the route that you can see in the video, you'll kill about 35 mobs a pop. It takes about 2.5 minutes to do a single run, so you can max out your hourly limit of 10 dungeon resets in about 25 minutes, which is kind of nice. Now, within that 10 run period, you will have roughly a 40% chance of getting the Battered Hilt, which can sell from really anywhere from 5 to 20,000 gold, depending on your server's economy. Now, this is a bit of a strange one, and honestly, I'd recommend doing it, say, maybe if you're stuck in an LFR or dungeon queue, or maybe just doing this and then hopping onto another character, and perhaps doing that Miss of Pandaria farm that I covered earlier. Then finally, a potentially very lucrative farming place is Blackrock Foundry, just farming the trash. This can be a great way to make money, and it's been suggested to me by a few viewers. I only did it once a while back and I don't have any footage, but basically what you want to do is get a well-geared 5-player party, convert it into a raid, then head into BRF Heroic. Now, if you're stuck on people, you can give the group finder a shot, but honestly, I'd say try to bring some guildies so there's not as much of a fear of ninja looting or any nasty business like that going on. Once you're there, head to the Ore Gorger trash and start clearing. Now, the Ore Gorger trash is pretty much okay, you shouldn't have too much of an issue with it. It's relatively easy, and there's also quite a lot of it, which, of course, is great for your chances of getting a BOE item. You'll probably get a few drops an hour, depending on the DPS of your group, so certainly enough to give each player one item. Bring a tank, a healer, and 3 DPS, and try to make sure that the DPS are really good at AoE and cleave damage, because that will really make things go quite a bit faster. Alright, so there you have it, 10 different ways which you can make gold. I hope one of those was at least useful. And by the way, the speculated price for WoW token is somewhere between 30 and 40,000 gold. That's what most people seem to be predicting. So really, with any of these methods, that should be a very attainable monthly goal. So that's it for me. Be sure to hit that like button if you found the video useful, and you can check out the channel for more videos on a daily basis. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.